How has artificial intelligence progressed that far that it could affect the HVAC industry, whether we're talking about buildings, HVAC, chillers, or air conditioning in our houses? How is artificial intelligence going to affect us? I'm going to look at a few points, I'm going to bring up a few positives and a few negatives, and what is the likeliness of artificial intelligence affecting our industry in the next 5 years? It's coming, folks. Let's talk of the fundamentals, how an air conditioning system or a chiller operates. Firstly, we've got several pressures that we have to monitor, and we've got temperatures. These are done with thermistors and transducers. At the moment, the logic done in the brain monitors these pressures and temperatures, checks the parameters, and then relays that into the main brain. So let's just call that phase one. The phase two is where artificial intelligence could change things. Instead of it actually just monitoring it as a chiller or an air conditioning system, the unit itself will learn the parameters of the ambient, of the internal environment, the external environment, and it will learn how things work. As an example, this 2-circuit chiller will operate at certain pressures and try to hit certain targets within the brain of the computer. If there was an issue such as a gas leak on a coil, the system would work and work, protecting itself with fan speed control and compressor speed to ensure it maintains a perfect efficiency as best as it can. Artificial intelligence will do something which at the moment this will not do, and when we replace this with our 2023 machine, it still won't do. It won't pick up a fault well before it happens. What I mean by that is if we've got a coil leak and it's lost 25 kilos of gas, we're only going to find out the fault when it reaches that critical point. On a planned preventive maintenance, it will not pick it up unless we can get the chiller in extreme test mode in an extreme ambient and we can notice the difference. As an engineer, folks, and as you engineers out there watching, you will know that sometimes carrying out a maintenance in a house or an office in a winter or the summer will find your fault. Whereas if you're doing it in the spring where ambient temperatures aren't that dramatic, you can put your system in full cooling or full heating, do your F-gas leak check, but you're never really going to find the fault. And it's only when that happens to the ambient where we all get caught out with our maintenance. Artificial intelligence will pick that up, which will mean lack of downtime in equipment failing, which will save homeowners a lack of comfort being lost, and critical comms rooms and chillers doing process plant, less downtime because it can be planned. Secondly, we can predict the reliability of the machines over time. If this chiller is being developed into a better machine, more efficient, we can find more efficient, smaller footprints, bigger footprints, better for the environment, energy savings. Manufacturers and building owners will learn over time that if the systems are going to maintain reliable, they'll be able to find the points of failure. So if there are components which are failing on the same machines, they can hold strategic spares, or they can look at making the machines better. That's the first point. Let's get the second point. Point two, which I want to go through, is kind of interlinked with point one. If the machine's learning the parameters on point one and understanding there's a potential fault, point two is the control. So this artificial intelligence malarkey will be, unfortunately, a lack of control on the human side. AI, which will then detect the fault, speak to the computer will then make a decision. That decision could be dispatch an engineer, monitor more, bring out manufacturer, or it might even diagnose the fault for us, all remotely. So the site we're on at the moment has got 8 chillers. These 8 chillers could have an AI element on the front end, meaning the chiller's making its own decisions, and if it ain't in fault, maintaining the current flow temp of 8 degrees and tweaking it, working it because it knows how it works, and then having the AI on the computer saying chillers are working to optimum temperatures, let's relay back onto the human being. That's where AI, in my opinion, is perfect for the future in increasing the standard of the HVAC industry and making things work much better. There are 2 downsides, and it's something that I really want to go through. Just to add, as a little bolt on point 2, most BMS systems are connected to remote access points for people to monitor. From my experience, they're never monitored. So having AI do the monitoring makes total sense. Let's get them final 2 points done on the negatives. Point number 1. Why is artificial intelligence in the HVAC industry gonna cause us an issue? It's gonna take your job, folks. First it was the Eastern Europeans, and now it's artificial intelligence. It's a growing concern, but it's gonna happen. Artificial intelligence could excel to a point where commissioning could be on a USB stick, and commissioning doesn't need to be done by a user plugging in a laptop. It's something which we might get there, and it will mean people will lose their jobs. However, on the positive, the future is looking bright, because those that have lost their jobs could develop other skills and do other things, to do better things in the HVAC industry. But there is a strong likelihood that AI, as an advanced tool, will make certain commissioning elements and installation elements lose your job. Small point, I think we're a long time away from it, but if we were to look at HVAC over the next 10 years, it's coming. It could be a little AI box that can be removed, but the reality is chillers, they're almost maxed out, in my opinion, to their efficiency with their low global warming potential gases. Something has got to give. This year is all about control. The next 5 years is all about control and tweaking things for efficiency. Looking as a VRF and homeowner, we're still looking at commissioning is just a plug-in with an AI bot, and the bot will commission the system and work it to how it needs to work. So, us installers setting up Wi-Fi on people's phones, that's gonna go. We're still gonna need to put the kit in, but when you go, hey, Alexa, get my aircon running sweetly, the backspin of the positivity out of that is it will do what it needs to do. You won't have to phone us up and say, my aircon isn't working as well as it should, because the AI has got that extra layer of security there, or backup measure. So, we could lose our jobs, but I think we're a while away from that. Point number 2 is us dinosaurs out here, we ain't gonna want to adapt to this new AI. So if you went back 15, 20 years ago, a lot of the HVAC installers wouldn't get behind Wi-Fi, Alexa, Google Assist, remote connectivity, because they've got other things to be doing, dealing with refrigeration circuits and replacing electrical transducers and PCB boards. The next generation of engineers need to get behind it, and it's down to the manufacturers that are using this equipment to implement it. It's all good having AI and having systems run more efficiently, but if no one gets behind it as engineers, and by the way, getting your hands dirty and using your brain ain't cool anymore. So the engineers that are out there, they're going to need to be trained to use this stuff, because when you've got a manual engineer trying to fix something, but you've got something else, an AI box or bot in a box, making decisions for the chiller or the aircon unit, is something which else needs to be monitored. So my point number 2 of people might not want to get behind it, and that's a big disadvantage, because if people don't get behind it, they'll go back to the 4 simple stage solution. Keep it simple, stupid. Just to sum this up, the 2 positives. Number 1, systems will work more efficiently because you have a learning tool built into the units rather than a one-way talking tool. Point number 2, control with AI, being able to remotely monitor the systems and having AI communicate and having things running more efficiently, independently. It could work. I get it. The 2 negatives. 1, we're losing our jobs. Number 2, we ain't getting behind it. Listen, AI, I think personally will work really well with increasing efficiencies and how things should work. But as always, these new systems come out and there's a lot of hype behind the things, but there's a lot of hindsight involved where we say, do you remember when we did this and it didn't work that well? And they've gone back to the old school way of things. 2023 to 2025, in my opinion, is all about control. Control for the elites, control for the people in charge, control for the manufacturers, control for people above us. As people, we can say, I'm not implementing it, but the reality is as a homeowner and as a business owner, as electricity prices continue to rise, equipment needs to run as efficient as possible. And yeah, maybe AI is the solution for this. Watch this space because it's going to slowly interpret it into our lives without us even knowing. Thank you for listening. Like, subscribe. Watch out for the next podcast.